Evening, everyone, and welcome. I'd like to call this meeting of the San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District Regular School Board meeting today being Monday, April 17th, 2023, to order. Madam Vice President, our secretary is not here today. Would you please call roll?
Yes, sir. Mr. Galindo?
Present.
Ms. Guanajuato Webb?
Not here.
Ms. Haynes?
Here.
Ms. Luna Chavez?
Here.
Mr. Mesa?
Here.
Mr. Overfelt?
Present.
Myself. Sir, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Let the record show that we do have a quorum of board members and that this meeting has been duly called in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. At this time, we will have opening ceremonies. Again, first with a moment of silence for personal reflection, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. First order of business, we have recognitions. We have the Fine Arts presentation of the Del Rio High School Jazz Band. Dr. Rios? Oh. Mr. Rios. Ricardo Rios.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. This evening on our Fine Arts Department, we're going to be showcasing our Del Rio High School Jazz Band. And I do want to mention that before we begin with their performance, our Del Rio High School Jazz Ensemble 1, which is the name that we use for this particular group, was selected through a rigorous application process to perform at the International Midwest Band and Orchestra Clinic in Chicago this December. The application process included the submission of resume, video recordings, concert programs from the last 2 years, references, and audio recordings of the ensemble. This selection is the highest honor a high school jazz ensemble can receive. The Midwest Clinic is the world's largest instrumental music education conference, annually drawing approximately 17,000 attendees to Chicago from all 50 states and as many as 40 countries. The Del Rio High School Jazz Ensemble is under the direction of Aldo Morales and Eric Medina. So needless to say, this is very big because it's not just from Texas. This is a national selection process. And these students, again, were selected for this extremely high honor to represent not just Del Rio, but actually we're the ones from Texas this year. So congratulations to these students, and let's play away. And I guess besides this awesome group doing so well, we also this weekend was very productive as well for the fine arts. We had mariachi compete in Corpus and in Robstown, came away with first divisions. And we also had our dance company go and travel to a competition and where they swept the contest and came back. It's too many awards for me to mention from our dance company. Yes, if you want to clap for our dance company. Yes, please do so. And then we also had our drumline and front ensemble compete in a state competition, and of which I'm wearing proudly displaying the medal that they earned. They earned a third place at the state competition. So congratulations to our drumline front ensemble and all of the other programs, our orchestra program, our choir. Arts and dance in general, music, everyone involved with that. We want to thank our administration for all the support that we get. Most of these kids started off in the sixth grade band program, and now we see the fruit of all those years of hard work. And so if you happen to want to donate, there's a little thing out there about sending these kids off to Chicago, again, to represent Del Rio. And so they're going to be working hard throughout the rest of the summer and getting ready for this event that's going to be taking place in December. So congratulations again to this wonderful group of musicians. And we thank again our leadership, our school board for all the support that we receive, not just for all the students within our district, in this case, our fine arts, but we thank you for everything that you do for all of the students that I know we're going to have some other recognitions. And it's all part of making sure that our kids, are recognized for all the our little town going out and kicking some booty out in the big world. So, yes, I have to be careful with my choice of words. But thank you so much again, and awesome job, Jazz Band. Mr. Morales and Mr. Medina are directors of the group. Congratulations to you all. Thank you.
As always, you make us very proud, and of course, recognition for our small area here, Del Rio, to be recognized in that special event. Congratulations to all students. Thank you, parents, for sending your students to long practices and sometimes long trips as well. Directors, thank you so much. You did an awesome job. Thank you. Even our fine arts director got a medal too as well. All right. Oh, he's a roadie. Okay. Okay, I wanted to congratulate each and every one of them individually, but they're too busy carrying instruments, so we'll continue with recognitions. Next item we have is item B, Career and Technology Education Student and Organization Recognition. Ida Gomez and Roger Gonzalez. Mr. Roger Gonzalez.
Can we have the students on stage?
Come on up, man.
Good evening, members of the board and Dr. Rios. Career and technical education offers student leadership programs in seven programs of study. This after-school student leadership organizations, or also known as SLOs, provide students with a competitive edge for college and career success. While many students place in their respective events or contests, only the top students get to advance. Tonight, we will honor the students that have placed in their respective state competitions and now will proudly represent our school district and the state of Texas in the national arena. First of all, starting with FBLA. Future Business Leaders of America is the largest business, career, and technical student organization in the world. The Texas FBLA state competition was held March 22nd through the 24th in Galveston, Texas. There are 85 schools at this competition with over 2,000 participants. The two students representing our school district at FBLA National are Aurora Maltos and Trinity Martinez. Aurora Maltos placed second in business communications. The business communication test includes verbal, nonverbal, grammar, business reporting, digital communications. Also placing first in job interview, which is a tough one, is Trinity Martinez. The job interview competition consists of two parts: creating that famous resume, cover letter, and then a live interview with business executives from the Houston area. Congratulations to the students and their sponsor, Ms. Larissa Garanzuay. They will be competing at the FBLA National Competition in late June in Atlanta, Georgia. Congratulations, FBLA. The next group that we're going to recognize is Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America, also known as FCCLA. Continues to be the only organization preparing youth for careers that support families and strengthen member employability skills by preparing students to be, again, college and career ready. The FCCLA RAM chapter competed at the Adventure Await State Leadership Conference and State Events Competition. Dallas, Texas hosted this conference with over 2,800 members competing and participating in on-site testing and presentations. Natalie Cordova and Carla Robles competed in the category of professional presentation against 21 other teams from all over Texas. Their project, Reading is a Passport to Success, won first place and will advance to the national competition in Denver, Colorado in July. Natalie Cordova is a senior in the Education and Training Program and is a student intern at North Heights Elementary and currently serves as first vice president. Carla Robles, a junior student also in the Education and Training Program, is a student intern at Dr. Lonnie Green Elementary. She is currently the Vice President of National Programs. Congratulations to their students and their advisor, Ms. Linda Corbell. Best of luck in Denver, Colorado. And last but not least is our Skills USA competitors. This is a partnership of student, teacher, industry leaders working together to ensure that America has a skilled workforce. Del Rio High School CT welding students competed in the Skills USA State Leadership Conference with over 10,000 students competing in a variety of contests or skills. After school, weekends, and even holiday practice has paid off for the welding program, considered one of the best in the state. While many students receive many superior, excellent, and best of show for multiple projects, only the selected contest received the green light to advance to the National Skills USA competition. The welding fabrication team, made up of Juan Arispe, Rodolfo Hernandez, and Carlos Sanchez, were the gold winners, receiving first place. Welding fabrication consists of two written exams: Skills USA knowledge exam, a welding knowledge exam, and a limited time to fabricate a multi-process project with only a pile of steel and a set of blueprints. This year's project was a rocket stove made of square tubing. This contest is considered one of the most challenging, toughest contests that actually covers 7.5 hours. Congratulations to Team Fabrication and their sponsors, Mr. Todd Townsend and Mr. Carlos Bernal, as they take on the next project at National Skills USA competition in mid-June, again in Atlanta, Georgia. Best of luck, Skills USA. And thank you to our dedicated students, our student leadership advisors, parents, members of the school board, central administration that continue to support CT programs and student leadership organizations. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next one, Ms. Linda.
Once again, these students make us extremely proud. And of course, we have excellent educators, instructors, trainers that propel us above and beyond the district level, where, again, they're being recognized at national and state level, which is amazing. Again, thank you, students, thank you, teachers, thank you, directors. Okay, next report that we have is the TESPRA, which is Texas School Public Relations Association Awards. Sandra Hernandez.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District is proud and honored to recognize 2 of its media communications staff members who have been recognized at the state level for their outstanding contributions to education at the Texas School Public Relations Association's annual conference. Peter Ojeda, the district's multimedia production coordinator, has been awarded the Crystal Recognition Award, one of the highest honors bestowed by TSPRA, and the award recognizes the outstanding contributions to the field of public relations and communications in education. Ojeda's commitment to excellence in communications and marketing has been instrumental in promoting the school district's vision of providing a world-class education to all its students. I'm going to invite Mr. Ojeda to come forward, and you see at your dais the Crystal Award. And I'd also like to present Willard Jenkins. Willard is the district's multimedia production coordinator. Of course, the videos that our school district produces has been the work with Willard. And he has been recognized with multiple gold awards in the documentary and promotional video categories. Willard Jenkins has been instrumental in promoting the district's programs and creating a culture of excellence and promoting the development of students throughout the district. We'd like to congratulate both Willard, please step forward, and Peter for their hard work and excellence. And these gentlemen work behind the scenes. They do a lot of creative work. And they put just the vision to light, and we see this in our videos and in the multimedia presentations that we provide in many of the social media and our district website. So congratulations to this team.
Okay, we'll go on to the next item. We don't have any citizens to be heard at this time for
Mr.
public comment. Yes.
I'm sorry. I thought there was going to be more CT follow-up, but I just wanted to comment on
Sure.
the earlier group there.
Mr. Orfeld.
Never let it be said that the public education system does not go in and produce top quality results in students that will go on and do great things in our city, in our state, and in our nation. What you saw earlier was a great example, a perfect example of what the public education and system in Texas can go in and do. And I wish they were here to hear that, and maybe they'll see it later on. But perfect example of what our education system can go in and do. So congratulations to them.
Thank you so much, Mr. Orfeld. Okay, we'll go on to our next item, which is item 7, Board Members Report. This is an annual announcement on continuing education of board members. And again, under State Board of Education rule, completing required continuing education each year of service is a basic obligation and expectation of any sitting board member. As board president, I am required to announce the name of each member who has completed the required continuing education, has exceeded the required continuing education, and is deficient in meeting the required continuing education. The requirements, again, we have 2 new board members, and they are required to do the local district orientation, and then again, all 7 are required to do the orientation of the Texas Education Code, post-legislative update, team building, additional continuing education, evaluating student academic performance and setting goals, and identifying and reporting abuse, trafficking, and other maltreatment of children, and of course, school safety being one of the priorities. I'm so pleased to announce that as a team of 7 board members and 1 superintendent, we have, again, completed our requirements, district local orientation for the new board members. And I'm so pleased to see when I see a total of 7 completing the team building, school safety, evaluating and improving student outcomes, and child abuse prevention training. Again, all 7, identifying, reporting abuse, trafficking, and other maltreatment of children. All 7 have completed that. Additional continuing education, all 7. Exceeding required education, board member Raymond Mesa, myself, board member Linda Guanajuato Webb, exceeded the required amount of continuing education. Board member Diana Gonzalez exceeded the requirement. Board member Amy Haynes exceeded the requirement. Board member Joshua Overfelt, board member Jesus Galindo exceeded the required amount, and board member Rebecca Luna Chavez exceeded the required amount. So again, thank you, board members, for attending the training that is, again, required of each and every one of you. I'm so pleased to make this announcement, again, as a requirement. Thank you again. Next item we have is item 8 on the agenda. First item we have is Laughlin Air Force Base Commander's Priorities. We have Colonel Kevin Davidson, 47th Flight Training Wing Commander. Welcome, sir.
President Meza, Dr. Rios, distinguished board, thank you for having me out here today. Also to the parents and citizens that are in the audience for today, especially my CTE crew over there that I love in the corner. My objective today is to briefly just discuss some of the priorities from my recent change of command, but also to give you an update on Laughlin Air Force Base and what you can expect to see in the next 5 to 10 years as the mission changes slightly and our population demographics will also adjust. First and foremost, the partnerships between Laughlin Air Force Base and Del Rio are crucial for the success of the Air Force Base as well as the success of the city. As a review, I wanted to cover our demographics. Briefly from a force structure, as you take a look at how the base executes our flying mission, our dependent officer enlisted and civilian ratios there on the right side continue to hover around 4,100 personnel. Out of the 1,178 dependents, we have 625 of our children attending one of the schools in this district. Majority being in the elementary, and that's primarily due to the age of our force that works there at the base. I do want to highlight, though, that 36% on the civilian side is predominantly an aging group that will be retiring in the near future, and we'll start to see youth beginning to replace them, and you're going to start to see more families coming into the base through the civilian sector as well as the military sector. Now, our personnel does span the full spectrum of government, civilian, student, enlisted officer, contractor, and NAF, with the majority being our civilian population. That will remain essentially for the next 10 years to be the predominant. 50% essentially will be a government civilian position. The other 50% will remain military in uniform personnel. As the new wing commander at Laughlin Air Force Base, I've realigned some of our partnership targets. If you haven't been listening to some of the other media outlets that I've used in recent past, my focus is on quality of life upgrades as Laughlin Air Force Base is starting to age slightly. I've focused on base infrastructure, particularly food sustainment for the folks that live on the base, housing to include enlisted dorms, future officer dorms, and of course restructuring and revitalization of our housing. In that quality of life upgrade, though, there's a goal for me as a wing commander to bring Laughlin Air Force Base closer to the city of Del Rio. Obviously, I can't pick the base up, but there's going to be opportunities for us to have more partnerships across the city as well as the school district as going forward as we start to move forward with some changes that I'll talk about in a second. The CTE program is one of those it's a quality of life upgrade for us. It's not necessarily just an outreach program. The maintenance side of our CTE program continues to be the lifeblood of our maintenance civilian team. The leadership from the school district as well as our leadership in the back there continue to provide sharp young men and women for service on the civilian side. 29 graduates from this high school recently have been employed at Laughlin Air Force Base through the CTE program. But we're looking to expand that program to beyond just the maintenance. So as your robotics team continues to win, we want to be able to expand some of those opportunities into our cyber programs, into some of our other what we call mission support group elements. And I know that we're inviting a lot of the CTE leadership out to the base on the 1st of May to continue to look at those expansion opportunities. And of course, a partnership target for me is to continue to support our brick and mortar STEM school aspirations for the future as we look at how we're going to sustain the school out at the base and the future that looks like, making sure that I keep the board educated as well as give the opportunities for questions about the future of Laughlin Air Force Base as we work together towards that. So obviously the RBB Elementary School is kind of a jewel for Laughlin Air Force Base. It helps me as a commander in taking care of that quality of life for our service members, as I mentioned earlier. It's not just a quality of life in the present day, but it's also the future growth for the base. It's one of those things that allows me to recruit talent out to Laughlin Air Force Base, because not all military schools are blessed to have an elementary school on the facility. You know, we have 148 students that are currently there. 93% of those are military affiliated, but 7% of those are civilian. And I had mentioned before that we're going to start to have a lot more civilians retire off the base, and we're going to be hiring a lot younger generation folks to replace those. So you may see an increase in those civilian folks as well. Obviously, a Purple Star school, I don't need to tell you that, but it's one of those things that we're really proud of and incredibly humbled by the support that this district gives all of our military children that are there and the families in particular. You know, we always brag about small community and shared experiences at the school, but what's sometimes lost is our operations tempo out at Laughlin Air Force Base puts an extreme strain on the families that work out there. You may see the airplanes flying overhead. We're flying 250 of those sorties every day, and that puts a lot of parents in a 12 to 16-hour work window with not a lot of free time available to them. And so having the school there makes them feel secure. It's a short distance, not just to drop a kid off, but it's also to make sure that when things aren't going well, that they have quick accessibility to those students. And of course, the after-school program access is incredibly important when you're working that type of operations tempo, as well as the deployments. We are still deploying people out of Laughlin Air Force Base at a rate that's high enough that folks are single-parent ops many times, and having the school available to them is a godsend. And I just want to continue to thank this board for the support that you give them. I do want to go for a minute here and just kind of update everyone on how pilot training is changing, because I think that's really the point of why I'm here today. The future of flight operations is not going to look like it was 20 years ago. The airplanes fly faster. They fly in an environment that is way harder, and there's more technology involvement than I could even possibly imagine from when I started flying. So to prepare a student to be successful in that environment tomorrow means we need to change the way we train. The training here at Laughlin Air Force Base hasn't changed in 25 years, so it was time for an upgrade. The undergraduate pilot training program, as you can see on the slide, has many transitions there, and I'll give you a second to kind of read through it as I'm talking. We still produce the world's best pilots here, and we still are the world's largest pilot training base. Nothing has changed with that. But the program itself has changed in such that our students, when they come through, they now graduate with their wings on their chest, flying just the T-6 aircraft. That is the heart of the training program. And they do that quicker, in 7 months instead of the 1 year before. Once they transition from that graduation, they'll stay here and continue training in either a fighter bomber fundamental program in the T-38, and in the future, the T-7, or they'll go through an air mobility fundamentals course, which teaches them how to work as a crew in a simulated, in a what we call a mixed reality environment. You might have heard that I mentioned that we were the world's largest pilot training base. Over the last few years, Laughlin Air Force Base has toned down its operations while it was preparing for this change. And so what may have seemed like a little bit of a reduction in operations or a reduction in Laughlin Air Force Base, it was more of a reposture for this change. So what you will see over the next couple of years is an increase. You're going to see an increase in student training. You're going to see an increase in students. You'll also see an increase in instructor pilots as they come in, which is, of course, great for the community and it's great for the base, but it will put a demand on the district as we add more students into your system, which I think is great. I mentioned before a little bit of the infrastructure changes at Laughlin. We're putting a fairly significant amount of money onto the base to get it prepared for the future. I'm really proud of our enlisted dorm renovation project that I'm showing off here, our Rick's Dorm Hall. That's been a foundation of our enlisted force at Laughlin Air Force Base for years, and it atrophied pretty bad. But the Air Force is going to put $35 million into renovations. Those renovations have already begun, and in 600 days, we're going to move our airmen into the Air Force's state-of-the-art dormitory. There'll be no other dormitory that meets this standard anywhere else in the Air Force, and Laughlin will continue to be the model of how we take care of airmen in the future. We're going to put them in the conditions they deserve, which is their own room with a kitchenette and a bathroom, which seems simple, but the Air Force has been behind on that for a while. We're also going through renovations in our base exchange. We'll be adding additional food establishments, as well as about $16 million worth of renovations as we redo that building. We're also going to convert the old Club XL, if you've had the opportunity to be on the base. The days of having a club is really extinct, and so we're changing that into a community center that's going to service the families, the children, as well as the students themselves as they go through. It'll include dining that looks a lot like a DFAC from those that may have served in the past, but it's different. It's more modern and provides healthy food options for our airmen. Those are just a few of the things that are the quality of life ones. We're also going to be upgrading the runways, extending it for longer periods of operations. We've already started to upgrade the facilities on the flight line. And of course, we're going to prepare for the T7. So this slide is a dual-purpose slide for me because it actually talks about housing out there at the title, but I want you to see the red tail picture on the right there. Those are the T7As that will replace the T38. As they come in, they're going to come with a lot of additional construction as well as residents. The aircraft requires a fairly significant upgrade on our infrastructure on the flight line. So we're going to be seeing construction between new hangars, new maintenance facilities, new storage facilities, new parking, as well as new protection as well. So over the next 5 to 7 years, we'll be bringing in some significant construction onto the base. Those contractors are specific to the aircraft, so most likely they're going to be bringing their personnel with them in order to do that construction. But our planned transition there from fiscal year 25 to 31 is not very far away. And that's why I'd like to highlight it to the team here about the future growth for the base. Those projects are going to increase our personnel by about 190 personnel. We're expecting approximately 361 dependents. The target age group of the folks that will be coming to fly those are going to be folks that are between what we call the major and lieutenant colonel ranks. And they are usually folks that have already established a family. So I'm expecting children to be in that middle school to high school age for that group. But as that group kind of matures out and they move out, the group that follows behind them are going to be the young captains again. So we're going to see an increase in those elementary school age children. With that, we're going to have we're calling it a restructure for our housing that's on the base. You know we keep our housing about 98% filled at any given time. Majority of those families that live in those housing attend the RBB for elementary, and of course they go to Del Rio High in the middle school, as you're aware. I expect to see anywhere between $20 to $65 million get reinvested into housing here in the next year, and then we're expecting more investment over the next 5 years. What that looks like, we're still in the negotiation phase with the privatized group, but you're going to see a little bit more of that sustainment idea of keeping the homes viable for the future, with focus being on the commodities or the quality of life that's inside the home as well. So, improving kitchens, getting shelter for vehicles, things like that. With that increase in demand for our housing, though, I just mentioned the extra 551, and I'm already 98% filled. So those folks are going to be living out in the community, and they'll be at different parts of the district. And my last slide, which is really the kind of the good news slide that for us to put on our radar, is we're bringing back what we call the Fiesta of Flight, the open house, or sometimes better known as the air show. It returns back March of 2024. This is going to be a little bit smaller of an air show than maybe what you might expect on the big side of ones in the past, but it's going to be the warm-up for a bigger air show in the future. Really, the focus is going to be on the recruiting side. It's going to be on the opportunity to open the base to the community and see some of the changes that I've just talked about. And then for the school district, I think there's some great opportunities for us to really hit the STEM. Of course, the Air Force calls it STEAM now, as we've added the arts portion into the STEM portfolio. But it's going to have a very dedicated effort towards robotics competition, flight simulation. There's going to be career fields, recruiters, and some other competitions as we go forward. It's an opportunity for our CTE to be involved. It's an opportunity for the district to pair up or match up with the base as we move forward with that. We will have aerial demonstrations and aircraft statics on display. So I may say small. It's because I want everything, and I can only get so much. So in a nutshell, that's an update on Laughlin Air Force Base, both for its mission, the quality of life upgrades that we currently have planned, as well as the potential increase in demographics for not just the base, but also for the district. I'd love to take a moment and answer any questions you may have, or if there are any other curiosities that I might be able to address.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll open it up for questions from board members. Mr. Ofo?
It's not really a question, but comments. Thank you so very much for the update and coming here to do that. In the nearly 12 years that I've been on the board, this is a first, and it's great to show the partnership that we have with the different entities, whether it's city, county, Laughlin Air Force Base. I'm glad that aircraft maintenance group is back there showing support today, because I went and did that my senior year when it was just a one-year program. I know it's expanded in the 20-plus years since I was in high school, but that was probably one of the greatest things I did in high school, was going in and being a part of that, and then going on to the base during school time for actual on-hands training, because, and I think we've talked about this, I don't know if there's anywhere else in the Air Force where high school students are allowed onto, to do that, they're allowed onto the flight line to go in and launch, recover, work in the engine shop, whatever it might go in and be. And that gave me an opportunity right out of high school to work for Age Flight on the flight line. So I'm so glad we still have that partnership. I'm super excited about the T-7s coming in there, especially because of the red tail heritage that it's tied to. And glad the air show is coming back. Will the Thunderbirds be here?
I would not expect the Thunderbirds this time.
Oh, okay.
But we're kind of doing you've heard this term from military folks before, the crawl, walk, run.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of a walk air show, so that we can get back to the way it used to be with a little bit more of a run. There's a lot of things that from Laughlin Air Force Base that out of necessity have lost some practice, so we're going to get back into it.
That's great, and I'm glad for all the upgrades that are coming, and hopefully in the future an expansion of RBB to accommodate what we're expecting there. So thank you so very much. Thank you, sir.
I want to also say that Laughlin has been so important, as such an integral part of our city here and of our district, and we're so proud of all the things that are happening, and we applaud your efforts in improving everything from housing to runways and, of course, quality of life. And whenever that improves, we are also improving the students that go and work and learn from everything that goes on in Laughlin. I just want to say that we're so proud of what Laughlin stands for, because again, we have excellent weather, and sometimes, the flying conditions are great, and so anything that we can do to assist with all the operations that go on at Laughlin, because a lot of times we think of, solar wind powered turbines going around everywhere, and solar energy, and all kinds of things that come sometimes into our area that we try to restrict and to make sure that everything goes well at Laughlin. So we're so glad that you gave us the update and report, and looking forward to a great, again, understanding and working relationship with each and every one of you. Anyone else? Mr. Olindo?
Just Colonel Davidson, I commend you, for the report that you gave us, and look forward to the future projects that you have brought before us. But real quick, a number that you spoke about, and I think it's huge to understand for the communities. You talked about hiring 29 of the people that go through the CTE program, and that's a huge thing, and that just kind of shows from our CTE program, whether we've talked about FCCLA, FBLA, robotics, and then we get to our aircraft mechanics, how much of an impact that can have for a young student coming out who follows his passion, but you're also able to employ them, and what it does for that child's family, and as they move forward and get an early start on that, and seeing, like I said, the aircraft maintenance crew here, they're all ready to go and very much engaged in the conversation that's being had, and just would like to commend them for the work they do. And it takes a huge responsibility, because they're not, when they go out there, they're not on toy planes or anything. They're on the real deal that's, committed to our country and our safety. And would like to commend Mr. Ramirez. Had a chance to speak with him as well. Great teacher out there, and all the sponsors that work with CT. But got to talk with them, and he follows these students afterwards. And he, I know he worked on base for many years, so he brings that aspect. So we thank you, Mr. Ramirez, your students, and to all the CT sponsors, Mr. Gonzalez, what you do with these programs, because it enhances that level and that quality of life when they get out of school, that they know that they have these options. And they find something that they're good at, they follow it, and who knows what it can lead them to when they go into the outside world, into the real world. So definitely looking forward to what you bring and speaking with you and getting to meet with you. The future looks bright at Laughlin, and we're very, very grateful to have Laughlin here and to be able to work with y'all. So thank y'all.
Thank you. If you don't mind, I'd like to piggyback on, we're not just hiring high school graduates. We're accepting what we call civilian airmen into the military family. There are many ways to serve our country, and at Laughlin Air Force Base, wearing this uniform is not the only way to do that. And providing the opportunity for leadership for young men and women here from the community that can stay in the community and continue to lead on the base is incredibly important to me and my team. It's the future of Laughlin Air Force Base, as well as the future at Del Rio in particular.
Well, thank you for the opportunities you give.
Thank you so much. And we'll go on to the next report, which is a proclamation, again, month of the military child. Colonel Davidson.
Well, thank you again for allowing me to take the mic for just a couple minutes longer. The month of the military child is incredibly important for us, and I really do appreciate the opportunity to read this proclamation. So the month of the military child proclamation, whereas military youth of today and tomorrow promise to be among the most active and involved populations in our nation's history. And whereas most military children will attend 6 to 9 different school systems throughout their lives, from kindergarten through 12th grade, and whereas the social, emotional well-being of children in military families is essential to their success and has a direct impact on the resiliency of military families serving our country, and whereas the 47th Flying Training Wing at Laughlin Air Force Base and San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District are committed to easing transitions for children of military families and ensuring that they are afforded the same opportunities and educational success as other children and are not delayed in achieving their educational goals. Whereas the 47th Flying Training Wing at Laughlin Air Force Base and the San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District are honored to work together with our teachers and staff, children and families, and other entities and organizations in the Del Rio and Laughlin Air Force Base community to provide sustained support to our young heroes and address their distinct needs as they transition between military installations and schools. And whereas the 47th Flying Training Wing at Laughlin Air Force Base and Felipe Del Rio CISD dedicates April 19 as Purple Up for our Military Kids Day for our young heroes. Now therefore, be it resolved that I, Colonel Kevin A. Davidson, 47th Flying Training Wing Commander, Laughlin Air Force Base, do hereby join our Commander-in-Chief and President of the United States, Joe Biden, and the Honorable Governor of the State of Texas, Greg Abbott, in proclaiming April as the month of the military child, proclaimed the 17th day of April, 2023.
Thank you so much. We go on to reports, continuing on our agenda. Next item we have is item 8C, Facilities and Construction Update. Israel Carrera. Thank you again.
Good evening, Board President Mesa, Dr. Rios, members of the school board. I'd like to share the facilities and construction report. So we'll go with Sinisa Hills Elementary, the Cardwell move to North Heights, and the electrical buses. On the Sinisa Hills Elementary campus, block installation is completed. The EFIS installation is ongoing, and the canopy installation is also ongoing. Drywall installation is ongoing, approximately 99% complete. Painting ongoing, approximately about 70% complete. The ceiling grid ongoing, completed in all classrooms, pending in administration and cafeteria. Flooring is ongoing and pending 2 classroom in administration and cafeteria. And the electric and plumbing and HVAC continue to progress. As far as Sinisa Hills, the soft costs and the contingency plan, the soft cost remains the same. As you can see, we took a few bucks from the contingency, which was, the last time we reported was at 9, what was it? 925, 226, I think is what it says there. Now it's down to 612, 754. We did door locks. We upgraded the door locks, and we also additional access controls, and then the Sinisa Hills Park. Electric school bus deployment project, the timelines. The PO, the bus PO and the charging station PO were submitted in April 3rd of 2023. The EPA document submittal was submitted April 18th. The beginning of infrastructure work would be July 1st, 2023. The EPA fund disbursement or dispersal will be June 22, 2023. And the installed charging stations will be December 15th, 2023. And then receive the first batch of buses in 2/1 of 2024. The Cardwell move to North Heights. Exterior painting is ongoing, scheduled to be completed by mid-May. Additional circuits to the sinks is completed. The added portable sinks to classrooms ordered and scheduled for June delivery. Replacement of toilets ordered and scheduled for May delivery. Lower and restroom sinks, work scheduled to begin once the school year concludes. Interior painting, work scheduled to begin once the school year concludes. Parking lot expansion, work planned to take place during the summer break. Playground park, work planned to begin during the summer break also. Then enclosed hallway construction, work planned to begin during the summer break. Then the new furniture, work scheduled to take place between July 17th and July 30th. Any questions?
I'll turn it over to board members. I just have one on the drainage. There's some ongoing work, and I saw the update in regard to some things happening, especially with Agarita.
Yes, sir. We did get a hold of the not the state, the Texas Department of Transportation, and they said they're going to be on that, and they hopefully to get that done by the end of April, 1st of May. We'll follow up with updates to see where they're at as we move forward.
Okay. So how is the flow of traffic going to be obstructed there? Do you know, Doctor?
Mr. Mesa, the majority of the students that will attend Sinisa Hills live within that neighborhood. There'll be some students that come in from the lake, but it's just really a handful of students of that age group. Another handful of students that might come in from the neighborhoods across Highway 90 from Sinisa Hills. So we don't expect to see too much traffic. We hope that a lot of the students will walk and maybe some ride their bikes to school. We expect a lot of the student service there to live between Buena Vista Elementary and the outer edges of that neighborhood.
So we're talking about a time span of, what, 3 weeks? And I'm talking about drainage from Margarita moving on to the,
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. The work there, if you, when you cross 90 to get onto Agarita, if you look immediately to your right, you'll see where the grass and the dirt, maybe through erosion, have really gotten higher than the level of the street. So what TxDOT is gonna come and shave all that off so that the water will continue to flow, because as you mentioned at the last meeting, the water really flows there from south to north. But when it gets to that point, right in front of that building, that investment building there, you can see where the grass is really, the height of the grass is higher than the road. So I don't expect that it'll obstruct traffic at all, because they'll be able to work from that area right off of Agarita, on that corner between Agarita and Highway 90.
so the work that is ongoing right now, because they are expanding that drainage area.
Yeah, I don't expect, Mr. Chapa,
And the reason I'm asking is because I've seen a lot of work, barriers that are on both sides for some time now.
I believe what they're putting are some pipe barriers in case when cars go off the road, it keeps them from going down into that drainage.
Good evening, President Mensah. Yes, sir. Basically, TxDOT is providing safety and treatments to those hydraulic structures, either end. So it's just protection in case a vehicle becomes errant, goes off the road, it won't actually crash into the wing walls of the structure. So they're not extending the structure, it's just providing end treatments.
Okay. Okay. All right, thank you. Anyone else? Okay.
Go over the maintenance report, the maintenance work order report. For maintenance, 0 to 15, we had 650 submitted, 555 closed for 85.4%. 16 to 30, we had 126 submitted, 100 completed or closed for 79.4%. 31 to 60, we had 168 submitted, 93 closed for 55.4%. And 61 to 90, we had 98 submitted and 60 closed for 61.2%. For technology, for 0 to 15, we had 2,182 submitted, 2,125 closed for 97.4%. 16 to 30, we had 177 submitted, 78 closed for 44.1%. 31 to 60, had 81 submitted with 47 closed for 58%. And then 61 to 90, we had 38 submitted, 1 closed for 2.6%. I did ask our technology, Mr. Salinas, about that, and he said a lot of that has to do with equipment material coming in, and that's what has prolonged that low percentage. But hopefully we'll get that here this next month. Transportation Department, 0 to 15 days, 222 submitted, 209 closed for 94.1%. For 16 to 30 days, had 25 submitted, 19 closed for 76%. 31 to 60 days, he had 10 submitted, 3 closed for 30%. And 61 to 90 had 3 submitted with 1 closed for 33.3%. Any questions?
Board members? Anyone? No questions, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We'll continue with reports. We're down to item 8D, software usage presentation. Ida Gomez.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. This evening, I will be presenting the quarterly software report. And the software that we report on is the Accelerator Reader, The Lexia program, we do have 3 different programs, one for dyslexia, special ed, and our K-1 bilingual students. The Summit, K-12, and a new program that we piloted last year that the teachers asked for, which was Reading Eggs, and I'd like to give you also an update on that. First one is our Accelerator Reader Report. You should have a copy in front of you. This is for the 6 weeks. We have the first 6 weeks, second 6 weeks, third, fourth, and fifth, and you can tell by school, and then the 5 data points next to each school or above each school. We would like to point out that this report is based on points, how many points the students have earned. We're very proud of some of the progress that our schools have made. I want to point out Buena Vista, who had a total of 9,325 points this past 5 weeks, or fifth 6 weeks. They started the first 6 weeks with 3,300. So by tripling the points, the students are really reading, and the teachers are encouraging it. Not far behind is Calderon Elementary, who came in with 8,166 points. We do have 4 campuses that topped the 4,000 mark for the fifth 6 weeks. So congratulations to Dr. Lonnie Green with 4,615, North Heights with 4,023, and Lamar with 4,005. But all the schools are there. You do see the influx per 6 weeks for different reasons, and we do want to just showcase the progress that some of the schools have made continually throughout each 6 weeks. The next 3 slides are going to showcase the Lexia program. And the first one you're going to see is our Lexia program for dyslexic students. When we look at the comparison, you see the average minutes for the first semester per month. So we took August, September, October, November, and then we took the current, the March 16th to April 14th, again, 1 month of data. You'll see the blue line is the month for the spring, for the first semester, and then you'll see the orange line is the past 4 weeks. Again, I'd like to point out 3 of the campuses. Buena Vista went from 2,093 minutes used on the average to 4,560. For our dyslexic students, more time on is definitely going to make an impact in their fluency, which is the plan. You'll also see Garfield Elementary, who started with 2,688 and is now 4,698, along with North Heights. They had an increase of 2,075 to 2,393. All the campuses do use the program, and we do have 193 students who are currently enrolled. Lexia also provides services for our special ed students. I'm having a problem with the mouse, I do apologize. Our special education students, which we do have 1,500 licenses that are issued, you'll see that at Lamar, they came in with 8,160 minutes of usage. They started with 3,200. The special ed department does train teachers. Teachers can use it in the classroom, but a lot of this is done in resource. When the students are pulled out, they do give them ample time to use the program. So for such a small campus, that's a very large number of minutes. Dr. Fermin Calderon started with 1,600 and came in at 8,100, and Buena Vista started at 2,700 and ended with 7,000. A lot of minutes, but you do have the report where it does show the average minutes per month for the first semester, and then from March 16th to April 14th. Data is in orange. Our Lexia for bilingual, our kinder and first grade student, our second through 12th grade students, I should say, use Summit K-12, but for our kinder and first grade students, the Lexia program is a lot more interactive. So we did purchase it last year, and the teachers want to continue it this year. You'll see some large usage, especially at the bilingual academies. You will see Garfield, who came in at 49,000, minutes used. Buena Vista is at 44,000. Ruben Chavita is at 36,000. So right here, our bilingual academies, Dr. Lonnie Green had 17,000 minutes for kinder and first. These are only our kinder and first grade bilingual students utilizing the program. You'll see the non-academies do not have as many minutes acquired because they don't have as many students either. We'll move on to our Summit K-12. Our Summit K-12 usage is, again, based on minutes. This is for our bilingual students in 2nd through 12th grade. You'll see here that, again, the academies come in strong. We have Ruben Chavita, who had usage for their 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade bilingual students of 70,407 minutes, followed by Lonnie Green with 70,150 here. Garfield Elementary had 50,000 minutes, while Buena Vista had 37,500. Our bilingual academies do have the majority of our bilingual students, and we are pleased that they are utilizing the program, and the teachers have continued to tell us that it's a program that they really feel is going to improve student language. I'm not sure why I'm moving the mouse wrong. Give me one moment, please. As mentioned earlier, our general ed population, our kinder and first grade teachers were asking for something very interactive about 3 years ago, coming right out of COVID. And Reading Eggs was one of the options that we piloted 2 years ago. So we were real happy in May when we turned out our survey and all kinder and first grade teachers wanted the program. The usage report here verifies that they didn't just ask for a program, but they're actually using it with our kinder and first grade students, all students. So this is just a different report, and it'll just give you the hours per the school that was used. I'll use Lonnie Green, for instance. The third column there says school total time was 78 hours. The total lessons completed was 9,173. This is from the first day of school till now. The average hours per student on the program was 26, and lessons per student completed is 33. So they continue on that pathway. They'll have at least one lesson per week on a 36 calendar week, and that's kind of what we base it on. So that's just one of the schools. All the data is there for all of the elementary campuses. Mr. Mesa on School Board, that is the entire report. I can take any questions or comments at this time.
I'll turn it over to board members. I just want to point out again, the many variables, again, like number of students in each of the programs, but we do spend quite a bit of money from the budget relating to software. And so I applaud those efforts. I see Buena Vista, Calderon, Lonnie Green. There are many schools that have improved and again are using the software. I see some, the biggest concern that I have is I see a school with zero usage of software. And so those are the concerns that I expressed to Dr. Rios. And we're spending a lot of money from the budget in buying software, and I want to make sure that it's being utilized. And again, if I didn't have the background that I do, I would not recognize, the improvement that is made by students using, again, software programs and getting additional work done through lessons, whether it's in the reading lab or the computer lab, or whether it's, again, reading books and earning points from the Accelerated Reader program. But again, I just want to make sure that, and principals that those of you that have done a great job in promoting that, I applaud you, and there's always room for improvement. And that's one of the reasons that I asked for this report. Just want to make sure that we continue using that in improving our scores and having our students utilize the additional form of instruction.
Yes, sir.
I thank you for the report. Next item we have is item 8E, the STAR 2.0 new question type presentation. Ida Gomez.
Yes, sir. Well, we start testing tomorrow. So we've done the benchmarks, we've done all the practice and the teaching, and we do start tomorrow. Elementary, for instance, will test on Wednesday. Secondary starts tomorrow, English 1. So this is a report just showing the board, again, updating you on the new question types. If you recall, we have 14 question types. The slide in front of you, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board, actually will show which content area the particular question may come out in. Just quickly, equation editor will only come out in 3rd through 8th grade math and our EOCs in math. So when we shared this with teachers, it kind of helped them identify which questions they would see on their content exams. You'll see here, I mentioned that there's 14 on your packet. We numbered them accordingly. So number 1 is that education editor that I was referring to. Students have to write in their responses in the form of a fraction, expression, equation, or inequality. So they actually work out the problem. And if you see here on the questions, this is a 3rd grade sample with the, is that a hexagon? Below it is a 5th grade sample, and off to the right is a 7th grade sample. But they all have the same type of put in the answer equations. You don't just write it. You have to actually type it in. The next problem that we have, the entry type that we have is called text entry. Students respond by typing a brief string of text, such as a number, a word, or a phrase. We do have a 3rd grade sample, a 6th grade sample up at the top, and a biology sample at the bottom. And you'll see again that they either enter the equation, typing in a number, or a word, or a phrase. And that's the 2nd type. The 3rd, I'm sorry, Ms. Travis, did you have a question?
No, excuse me, you did say typing in a number, a
Yeah.
word, or a phrase?
Yes, ma'am. So if I'm going to go back to the slide. So up here at the top, when I read the definition or when they provide us, it's asking that the student has to learn how to respond. So in this one here that has the fraction bars, they actually have to enter the numbers. It says write an expression that represents model Y, and below it, they have to actually type in the numbers. Since it's online, they can't actually write it. So they have to actually learn how to use the keypad
Okay.
to put the number in the correct spaces. So besides learning the problems, the students have had to learn what it is that they have to do to be able to answer in the format that is being asked.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. The next one is graphing. We have a 3rd grade sample here. This one says that the student selects points, or they draw lines, or they draw, that says drag, but it should say draw bar graphs, and perform other functions to create different types of graph. So the first one, which is a 3rd grade sample, actually says to complete the bar graph. So the student just goes in and literally holds the clicker down until that bar graph is completed. So teachers had to teach the students how to hold and drag. But the one on the right side, which is an Algebra 1, is a lot more complicated. So first, they have to select in graph 1 the button to graph the line. Then they have to select 2 points to coordinate the plane. That line will be connected. Once they select the 2 points, it automatically connects the line. But then they have to go to graph 2, graph the line, and choose the line style. So there's a little box on the left right here next to the grid. It says graph 1, line type solid, but there's a drop down. So there's other options. And then it says for graph 2, same thing, line type solid. So it's no longer just getting your pencil and paper and drawing your little point and then drawing your line. They actually have to use their mouse or manipulate their mouse to actually manipulate the points. Then they have to select solution set, which is there on the left, in order to select the desired region. So while it does give you the steps on the problem, you can see the multi-steps the students have to learn about technology. The fourth type that we have is just a number line. On this one, the student will select a point, an open or closed, and a direction arrow to demonstrate the solution set for the number line. You'll see down here at the bottom, it says use the number line to represent the solution if 5x is greater than or equal to 15. It tells them to select array. It tells them to move the point on the array to the correct place on the number line. But in reality, they have to come down here, these 4 choices at the bottom. Will it be an opened or closed point? And then the second part is they have to choose the directional arrow. Is it going to the left? Is it going to the right? Then they have to actually put in type it in, and then it will connect the actual answer for them. We're going to follow with inline choice, which is the 5th type. You'll see on this one, the student selects the correct answers from one or more drop-down menus. So the first one is a 3rd grade example. It says, the meaning of sentence 12 is unclear. Select the word that should replace it in the sentence. She learned that the men fighting in the war and knew they needed, and then there's a blank, and they just have to drop down and choose the correct word. Instead of writing it in or typing it in, it's just a click. If you go to the bottom one, which is a 5th grade problem, you'll see it says, choose the correct answer from each drop-down menu to complete the statements. So here there's 4 steps the students would have to do. And then over here, which is a U.S. history type example, it says complete the sentences by selecting the correct answers from the drop-down. Again, Alabama Governor George Wallace was trying to blank education. So then the student would have to read the 4 answer choices or 3 that are shown there and click on the right one for it to go into the little drop box on this one. Next, we have hotspots. You'll see hotspots in 5th to 8th grade science, social studies for 8th grade, and U.S. history, and 3rd through 8th grade math. Hotspots, again, students have to be very careful with the question. This first example asks for 4 answer choices. The U.S. history asks for 2, and the 7th grade one at the bottom asks for 3. So the students actually would come in here, and the question says, which light bulbs in the circus will produce light? You'll see that there's 5. It's asking the student to select 4. These types of questions are worth 2 points. If a student gets one of them wrong, there's a possibility of getting 1 point. Same thing on the map, same thing on the grid. The 7th type that we have is called a hot text. This is a little more difficult to explain, but it's an easier process. So if you look at the very first example at the top, it's a 3rd grade. reading, and it says, which sentence from paragraph 6 best explains why Snell thought he and his workers would know how to build a new big text? If you notice, there's boxes around each of these statements. It starts with unfortunately, and it ends with fire, then although people, and it ends under big text. So the child would actually just click on the one that they feel answers the question. They just click. It's called a hot text. Down here, same thing. The answer choices could be any of the ones, I apologize for that, any of the ones that are highlighted. They actually tell you where the answer choices are. You just have to make the selection for the right question. It's called a hot text. Number 8 is the fraction model. Again, with this question, the students have to come in and actually put in their answers. It says select the total number of parts, select the total number of shaded parts, answering the question. Once they do that, then it actually creates the model. Over here too, this is a 5th grade one. It says in the model below, select the number of rectangles that represent the product of 3/4 and 8. Select the triangles you want to shade. That should be, I believe, 6. I'm doing it correctly? So they would shade in 6. After they do their problem, then they shade in their answer. The drag and drop, this one, for instance, would be seen in math, 3rd through 8, science, 5th grade, and social studies 8, and U.S. history only. So these are the only places that you would actually see these type questions. Drag and drop, it's telling you the rule plus 2. So children, when they see a graph like this, they know that 1 plus 2, the output would be 3, but they actually have to click on the 3 to drag it into that spot, right? 2 plus 2 is 4, 5 plus 2 would be 7. They would actually click it and drag to that spot. If you look at the cycle of the moon for the 5th grade science, it's actually saying that they've already showed you 4 of the stages, and they're asking you to take those pictures on top and drag them into where the rest of the stages would be. If you notice, there's 4 up there and only 3 answer choices. So these type questions are worth 2 points, but the child could have the possibility of earning 1. We have the multi-part question. This one is a little trickier. You'll see that they all have a part A and a part B. The child will answer both parts. However, the only way for part B to be correct is if the child answered part A correct. So I answered part A correct. I have a chance at earning part B. If I get it correct, I get full credit. But if I answer part A incorrect and I answer part B correct somehow, I will get no credit. So this one depends on the other.
No credit?
Not if part A is answered incorrectly. The child will not know that. They will still proceed to part B, but you cannot get part B correct if part A is not correct.
I think, I'm sorry, Mr. Mesa, I think the idea behind that is that if you didn't get part A correct, then you must have guessed at part B, and therefore you wouldn't get credit for it.
A guess is a guess, though.
Yeah.
Can I just interrupt real quick? This is way too much. This is so overwhelming for me. I can't even imagine. And then can I just interrupt again?
Sure.
What happens when we get stuck? What happens when we get stuck? Like the drop and drag and drawing and filling in the shades. What happens when the student gets stuck? Are the teachers able to, how do they guide? This is way too much.
Dr. Lee?
It is a lot, but through the help of the CNI department, we've given the students some chances at practicing these type of questions. And then the state has given some tests, and so the students will have at least 2 attempts, and the teachers have been working with the students to practice so that they do know what to do, and when they take the test, it won't be the first time they see it. Now, having said all that, there are students that are gonna get stuck and it's not gonna work.
Anxiety?
Yeah, so we hope that through the practices that have been provided, the anxiety will be minimized and so will the errors. But it is different and it is more difficult.
Sorry, Mr. Ressa, I apologize.
No, that's, I'm trying to determine, like, I don't know if I would pass the test on certain days. It's getting more and more difficult. I know the anxiety level is going to be triple, quadruple from the test taking, different options that they have, for selecting the answer. It is going to be very difficult for our students.
There's just a couple more types. One is the match table grid. Again, if you look at the example on the right, the English 2, it's a statement, and then the child has to just click. It's just got to match. Is that expresses an idea about society or does not express an idea about society, for instance? So it's just, here's the statement and match where it falls at the bottom. You're going to see reason for development or use. The need to diagnose and treat internal injuries. Was that because of pesticides, drones, or x-rays? Well, obviously the x-rays were needed. So it's just matching. But instead of one question, it's like 5 parts, right? 5 different statements. That's where the rigor has gone up just a little bit. The multi-select follows the same as a previous one where you have to select, it'll say select 2 or select 2 instead of just 1. But if you look, lots of them have 5 answer choices. So that in itself is already upping the rigor. Up until now, we've never had more than 4 answer choices on any exam. The short constructed response is number 13. For this one, they use a rubric. They look at some words that they think should be in the response. Most of these are worth 2 points. Versus the extended response, you see the text box down here. This is where the student types their answer. And I apologize, on the previous one, they have the text boxes at the bottom also. So once they type in their answer, these are actually scored by 2 people, and each person can award up to 5 points. So that's where the total of 10 possible points comes in, but it could be that you scored a 2, somebody scored a 4, so it's a 6. But the extended are graded by 2 people. Those are the 14 type questions. I wanted to share what they actually look like, a sample of the type questions and where you might find them. We're very confident that the teachers and the principals at the campuses have been using all the software that was purchased. For some of them, for instance, high school, first time ever we had to purchase Sirius. But the usage reports are showing that the teachers are using it because students are practicing. In elementary, we have a lot more options because we've had those vendors for a while who just upped their game. So the practice is there. CNI has formatted every summative and formative to be online like this. So that's there. And the last thing, Mr. Messas, you had asked about our emergent bilingual students. I did reach out to the department. And again, they're saying the curriculum, all the formatives and the summatives have been redone. There are local assessments. Like I just mentioned, the benchmarks, the Cambium practice. All the students have their little headsets to stay focused. We've invested in the resources that were needed. As far as phonics building and fluency, we did purchase the Closing the Reading Gaps, which is the phonics for reading, and we did purchase a practice book for every student, and then of course the Summit K-12 that we continue to use.
Questions? board members?
Oh, yeah.
And I
Becky?
just, it is overwhelming. I agree with, yes, Ms. Haynes, it is overwhelming. I'm looking here at the extended construct response. So they're gonna have to be, actually, first of all, the paragraph, are they pretty long? This one is 5, or as I see here. I remember, as I recall, they used to be slightly shorter. And then to answer, they're in-depth by explaining, analyzing, and evaluating. They are gonna have to be very up to par to writing complete sentences and constructive sentences, critical thinking sentences, in order to, how are they gonna grade the answer on this, on the responses?
They will take both those parts, the grammar. If they can read it, they're not really going to punish against it. But if it's just something they can't read that interrupts the flow of the answer, that would definitely hurt. But also looking for those keywords.
Yeah.
And this is an 8th grade sample. Some of them are longer, but this would be about the average. Because it's not the passage, they're asking for the extended response.
So it's 3, this one here is an example of a 3rd grade?
8th grade,
8th grade?
8th grade.
3 to 8.
Yes.
Ms. Gomez, you want to give us again the schedule tomorrow and the course?
Tomorrow, principals, raise your hand. I know we have English 1 at middle school, freshman, and high school.
Okay, and then elementary?
Wednesday. We begin with all elementary. They've chosen to test every Wednesday for 4 weeks. So, 3 weeks? Oh, 3 weeks, excuse me. But just on Wednesday. So they've sent out letters to parents letting them know Wednesday, Wednesday, Wednesday. We did have a window, and they did get to choose the dates. They coordinated it, so the entire district is testing at the same time. High school did the same.
Okay, anyone else?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Orva.
I think you've already answered it there, I'm pretty sure, but I just want to make sure and reiterate. Over the past several 6 weeks or whatnot, in the elementary classrooms that are going to be testing, they have been doing this on their Chromebooks or in the computer labs, so they should know how to operate a touchpad and all of that stuff, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Secondly, ballpark figure for Wednesday, because mathematics is on Wednesday for 3rd grade that I know of. What ballpark figure for the number of students who will be online that day in the district?
All 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade will be taking their reading test. That's 2,400 on Wednesday.
Is math on Wednesday? ELA's on Wednesday? Okay. So 2,400. We have 2,400 laptops and computers ready to go on Wednesday
Yes, sir.
that are up and running and working.
Yes, sir. We purchased a lot of Chromebooks,
Mhm.
and during the benchmarks, we tested the system to make sure that it can withhold all of that, both electrical power and internet power.
So we have plenty of bandwidth
Yes, sir.
to handle that. What is the fallback for, I'm going to be the pessimist, for when the server for the state crashes and the entire state goes down Wednesday? What is we move the day? Is that what we do? Or what happens if it goes down 1 hour into the test there? Because 3 million students are going to be testing. I'm
Yes,
just
sir.
curious.
That's correct.
If that was to happen, we have a window, and they could have makeup. But I think to a certain extent, it's been tested. But should the worst happen, we have a window to fall back on.
Okay. That's my big concern is you're going to have, we have 5.5 million students in Texas, about 3 million or so, 2.5 million are going to be testing at any given time. And I hope whoever is in charge of this dang thing, Pearson or whatever it is, their servers work. Because I remember the first time we tried to do this online, there were systems that went down. And to Ms. Haynes' concern about the complexity and the stress and stuff like that, I absolutely agree. My 8-year-old son is absolutely terrified of what's coming. And no 8-year-old should be terrified of a test.
I absolutely agree with you.
I have faith in him, but the psychological and emotional stress that this thing puts on our students and our teachers is absolutely ridiculous. And I think it should be a requirement that if you're going to go in and you're going to run for state office in the state of Texas, you have to pass these exams the moment you go in and take the oath of office. You want to work in the legislature and mandate to us down here what our students have to go in and do? And you ought to be able to pass the test there, because I can guarantee you there's 181 members in the Texas House and Senate that there's a percentage of them that couldn't do this there or and stuff like that. And the other part, like you said about going in, you get part A wrong, but you got part B correct, and nope, you don't do it.
That is mind-blowing.
I
just think that is so ridiculous because we're trying to get them to make the best choice, and there you go. You're not going to give me my point when I guess.
Not me.
Well, I know.
I know it's we know it's not you. We know it's Texas Education Agency and people who have no idea about education going in and making these decisions and stuff like that. Maybe an unpopular opinion for some people coming from me, but that's the way I feel, and I'm gonna speak my mind on that. So I hope everything goes well. I have faith in our teachers and our instructors and stuff like that. This just scares me because I see it at home with my child there, and then when my older one starts doing their EOCs and stuff, it just nobody should be terrified to take this. Because is there anyone here who can tell me what university cares what you make on your EOC when you apply for college? Anybody tell me what university cares what you made on your STAR test in 3rd, 8th, etc.? None. The real world doesn't revolve around this. I'm done before I get angrier. Sorry.
I want to thank you for the report. Again, it is a whole lot for our students. We're wishing the best. And, it is very difficult for, again, all our student body to go through all this stress and anxiety. But it's something that our legislators have heard about, the testing requirements, that there's too much. But at this point, I'm going to call for a 10-minute recess before we continue with the consent agenda.
So moved.
We'll take a little 10-minute break. Thank you.
Thank you, President Mesa.
Okay, we're going to reconvene again. We took a little break. We're down to item 9 on the agenda, consent agenda. Again, for the benefit of board members, there are some minutes that were placed before you. I guess that were left out of the packet. Again, one action will approve all items on the agenda, consent agenda. If there's any questions at this time, please let me know, or if you would like to have any of the items on consent agenda pulled out and voted on separate, we can do that. In the meantime, I'm going to ask Ms. Gonzalez if you could please read the donation page for us and acknowledge our donations for this month.
Just like old times, okay. Cohen and Cohen, $50, Del Rio High School FCCLA. De La Paz Cleaning and Rental, $400, Del Rio High School CTE Welding. Shutterfly LLC Life Touch, $1,824.46 to Del Rio High School. Michael Jimenez, $1,350 to Del Rio High School Auto Shop. Ortiz and Ortiz, PC Attorneys at Law, $100, Del Rio High School FCCLA. Cadena Family Practice, $200, Del Rio High School FCCLA. Del Rio U.S. Border Patrol Station, 53 Easter baskets, valued at $975 to Lamar Elementary, Garfield Elementary, Irene Carterville Elementary, and Ruben Chavita Elementary.
Okay, as always, we,
Tell you, there's some more.
oh,
There's
two
more.
more.
I was just resting, okay. Texas Department of Public Safety, 40 Easter baskets valued at $500 to Buena Vista Elementary, Dr. Fermin Calderon Elementary, Dr. Lonnie Green Elementary, and North Heights Elementary. HEB, 20 gift cards valued at $200 to North Heights Elementary. Thanks a lot. Thank you, bye.
Thank you so much again. Thank you for the people making donations. Again, we always appreciate that. And again, sometimes the donations are so long, especially like some of the winter months. And so for that, sometimes we have long agendas. This time we read the donations. Sometimes we post them on social media again to thank everyone that donated. We appreciate the effort, again, from organizations and individuals. Anyone needing an item pulled out? We have one item that we will automatically pull out. I believe there was a change in this item H, second reading and adoption of policy revisions. Sandra Hernandez.
Yes, sir, thank you. Good evening. As an update before you continue with your consent, I want to make note that the second reading policy has changed from the first reading. TASB Legal has reviewed it and has made one recommended one word to be changed in the policy. And the current law allows school districts to implement a drug testing program if a parent voluntarily agrees for their students to participate in a random drug testing program, if as a condition for their participation in the extracurricular activities. The word that was changed in the policy is the word requires, and so that word the change was recommended that the district implements a random drug testing program. It doesn't change what we're currently doing, it just, that
Changes
word
one word.
clarifies that it requires the parental consent. It's a voluntary.
Okay. Does everyone understand that? Okay. Recommendation, please.
Sorry.
Oh, no, it
Now
is a
that-
consent item.
That's the consent. So. All right, so we'll include it on the
Yes.
the rest of the consent. If
Yes.
one action will approve all items. Again, one word change for the policy after TEA review. I'll ask, if no other questions, I'll ask for a motion to approve consent agenda, so made by Mr. Orfeld, seconded by Mr. Galindo. All those in favor? Motion is approved. We go on to administration, item 10A. Administration, item A, consideration to approve a memorandum and agreement between San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District and Valverde County in the construction of a park, playground, ancillary building, and parking lots in the property behind Del Rio Middle School. Sandra Hernandez.
Yes, sir. Good evening once again. Mr. Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. The San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District and Valverde County desire to enter into an agreement in the construction of a park, playground, ancillary buildings, and parking lots in the area behind Del Rio Middle School, located at 720 East de la Rosa Street, as depicted in Exhibit A in the attached agreement.
You've had time to review that in your packet. Again, there's very important information there as to costs involved with the two agencies, whether it's our district or whether it's the county. Any questions? Being that there are no questions, again, recommendation.
Yes, sir. It is the recommendation that the Board of Trustees approve and authorize the superintendent to sign the memorandum of agreement between the San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District and Val Verde County for the construction of a park, playground, ancillary buildings, and parking lots in the property behind Del Rio Middle School.
For the recommendation, I'll entertain a motion. Motion made by Mr. Galindo, seconded by Amy Haynes. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Item 10B, consideration to approve a memorandum of an agreement between San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District and the City of Del Rio and the renovation and use of the Cody Wardlaw Gym. Sandra Hernandez.
Yes, sir. The San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District and the City of Del Rio agreed to the use of the Cody Wardlaw Gym is limited to recreational activities for citizens of Del Rio and staff development activities for employees of both the City of Del Rio and employees of the district. And they would like to enter into an agreement that the use of the property shall not be used for any other purpose unless mutually agreed by each party. Therefore, the San Felipe Del Rio CISD and the City of Del Rio desire to enter into an agreement in the remodeling and use of the Cody Wardlaw Gym as described. And this is depicted in Exhibit A in the attached agreement.
Any questions from board members? Being that there are no questions, again, recommendation, please.
Yes, sir. It is the recommendation that the Board of Trustees approve and authorize the superintendent to sign the memorandum of agreement between the San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District and the City of Del Rio for the renovation and use of the Cody Wardlaw Gym.
For the recommendation, I'll entertain a motion. Motion made by Mr. Overfeld, seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, curriculum instruction, item 11 on the agenda, 11A, consideration to approve the instructional materials allotment and TEKS certification form for the 2023-2024 school year. Ida Gomez.
President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. I've placed a revised board memo for this particular item, and I'll explain what the change is. This evening, we come before you to get the consideration to approve the IMA allotment. In 2011, this was created, the IMA, for the purchase of instructional materials, technology equipment, and technology-related services. The IMA combined textbooks and materials previously supplied by the state with separate funding received through the technology allotment. The requirement under Section 28.002 of the Texas Education Code is that the district superintendent, along with the president of the local board of trustees or officers of the governing body of the charter school, certify the following 3 items. 1, the district instructional materials and technology allotment is used only for expenses allowed by the Texas Education Code 31.0211.2. For the current school year, the district has instructional materials that collectively cover all the elements of the TEKS of the required curriculum identified in the TEC 28.002, other than physical education, for each subject and grade level. And 3, upon request, the district will provide the State Board of Education the title and publication information of any instructional materials requisitioned or purchased by the district with the district's allotment. The 2023 certification form for the past several years has only, because of COVID, only required that I input the board president's email. So we would present it, but rather than asking for a signature, I only had to input his email, and the board has always approved that. This year, there is a change. I didn't catch that until today, that's why you have a revised memo. So the new requirement states that for the 2023-2024 certification form will be submitted via the electronic version, so the 22 pages that we've put together with all the adoption and resources along with this form. But it needs to include the school board president and the school board secretary's signature as confirmation of compliance meeting the certifications outlined above. In your original memo, I didn't include that. I still had the board president's email, which has now been updated to this. Any questions?
Question from board members? No questions? Recommendation, please.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approves the district's instructional materials allotment and TEAC certification form and gives approval for the board president and board secretary to sign the form as confirmation of compliance, meeting the certifications outlined above.
I've heard the recommendation. I'll entertain a motion. Motion made by Mr. Galindo, seconded by Amy Haynes. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item we have is Business and Finance. Item 13A, consideration to approve submittal of the Head Start Continuance Funding Grant application in the amount of $2,606,761 with non-federal share of $650,690 for a total amount of $3,253,451. Community assessment, this is again to the Region 6 Head Start office, along with the annual report to public, a self-assessment, community assessment, training and technical assistance plan, cost allocation plan and selection criteria, program goals, and school readiness plan. Amy Childress.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, the members of the board. The next three agenda items that we have are all for our Head Start program. They're our annual grant applications and our MOU application, and Dr. Talamantes will be presenting those for you.
Good evening, members of the board, President Mesa, and Dr. Rios. I come before you on behalf of Irene C. Cardwell Head Start and Pre-K Families, Children, and Policy Council to report on our Head Start continuation grant. For the Head Start grant under the funding type Head Start program operations is $2,570,365 for a funded enrollment of 346. Head Start training and technical assistance, 32,396. The total funding is $2,602,761 for a total enrollment of 346, and non-federal shares for 650,690. Would you like me to proceed with the recommendation for the Head Start grant?
Do you have the goals somewhere?
The goals
Yes.
for Head Start grant?
Yes.
I didn't bring them with me, but I can go over them with you.
No, I just wanted to, for the benefit of the new board members, again, this is a continuance. We do this every year. And for the past several years, we're trying to increase enrollment, and due to facilities, we're unable to do that. But hopefully, in the near future, where Cardwell will be moving, hopefully we can allow more students to come in. But usual questions that we have is, do we have a waiting list?
Yes, we have a healthy waiting list. We have met enrollment for each month for our funded enrollment for Head Start. We're a total of 478 students that we serve as Head Start and Pre-K, and we also have our membership students as well. But we do have a healthy waiting list.
Okay.
So
And
when
you should-
someone does withdraw, we do have someone that's waiting to come in.
We applaud your efforts for recruiting students. I've seen the banners everywhere. Now
Yes,
enrolling,
thank you.
and word of mouth goes a long ways with neighborhoods and families that are looking, again, for those needs for education and services, again, that you provide through the Head Start program. I do want to say that it's one of the most important programs as far as parental training, with social services, with health-related services, and most important, to build up families so that eventually some of these parents can come and work for us. Because again, the Parent Policy Council training that you do
Yes.
is vital for a parent, again, for them to be better parents and be able to eventually provide maybe employment through, for us to provide employment for them because of the services that are being provided with childcare and education of their children. But questions, because we usually, again, have audits every 3 years.
Yes.
And what is your cycle right now as far as?
For our audit, we already had our focused area 2, and I was going to state at the end, I'm very proud to report that there were no areas of concern, no deficiencies, and no areas of non-compliance. And Cardwell was recognized for their high quality and delivery of a classroom instruction, including the kindergarten transition plan that we have, parent engagement, and URSIA.
Okay, great.
So we did very well on our focus area 2 audit and the focus area 1. Yes.
Great, great. I know that in the past, we had difficulty with items such as lead-based
Yes.
paint and so forth. No more findings?
No, we did have the lead test that was conducted. Mr. Carrera got that initiated for us, and we didn't have any. We had minor, but nothing that was at the level that had to be corrected.
Okay. That all will improve as you move on to a new campus?
Yes, the next thing we have to do is testing for lead in water when we move to North Heights, I apologize.
Okay. And health services, you have the providers and the community assistance with the partnerships that you formed?
Yes, we have our HSAC that we do have our memorandums of understanding with our health providers as well.
Okay. I know that there's 3 items on this, so will you be going over the cost of living allocation, or?
Yes, I'm going to present the amount, and the cost of living now, as per President Biden, is now at 5.7. However, we match with the district at 4%, and we use the additional funds for TTA or salaries as well.
Okay. And I'll ask a question to Dr. Rios so he can stay awake. No, I'm just kidding. The non-federal share, I know that we provide transportation, we provide utilities, we provide the building.
Yes.
Is that going to be calculated as we move on to the different change?
Yes, sir.
So we are providing more than enough that is required?
Oh, yes, sir, we do. And I have to thank the board for that, because you do help us with the facilities, transportation, maintenance, technology, the food service program. They all contribute to Head Start, as well as SPC, our human resources, accounting with Ms. Childress, CNI. We get all of that support as well.
Okay.
So thank you very much.
Could you provide, just to enlighten the new incoming board members as to what qualifications they have to meet for enrollment into your program?
Yes, sir. So we have it, what it's called, it's URSIA, which is enrollment, recruitment, selection, eligibility, and attendance. So first, a parent or a child has to be enrolled and meet eligibility, as far as they have to live below the poverty line that's put out by the federal government. And we base it based on the household with the number of adults and children. So if we have a family of 2, which is one mother and a child, or a father and a child, they have to live below the poverty line in order to make enrollment and eligibility for Irene C. Cardwell Head Start, or for any Head Start program. But now with President Biden, he did
proposed, and it was voted on and approved, that any child who qualifies or family who qualifies for SNAP, which are food stamps, they automatically qualify for Head Start. So that's an addition that students qualify easier for Head Start, because we do have a lot of families that do try to get in. And we also qualify for those parents that make 10% above the income or the poverty line. We get to select those. And the way we select those is we go based on the income and the need. So if we have a family who is meeting eligibility, but they're like $500 off, and they have a student that has speech services, then they make the 10% above income. So we go based on that with a 10% and then based on need.
Would you tell us now about students with disabilities?
The students with disabilities, we also get to service them. They generally come in with speech services, or they've been serviced by ECI, which is this early childhood intervention that we have here in the district. And then also our district does provide us with the assistance if we have students who need further testing in speech, autism, or other health impairments. Those get certain points, and then they can also get the services. If the family does qualify for speech, but they're over income and do not meet eligibility for Head Start or for pre-K at the time, then they come in as membership and they get the services on our campus.
Are we still serving children with parents that might be incarcerated?
Yes, sir. We ask that at the beginning as well, and then we ask if there's any complications in the home, within their family, and then we consider those as well also.
Are we serving students that might be homeless?
Yes, sir. And we get the list from federal programs, and then they certified if they're McKinney-Vento, and then they come into our program as well. Sometimes we do have them be on the waiting list, just so you'll know, because for 3-year-olds, you can only service 17. And if they're full, we make sure that they're on the waiting list, but we try to bring in them right away. And we have placed them in 4-year-old classrooms as well.
And again, for the benefit of the new board members, immunizations are critical to your program.
Yes, sir.
How many days do you have before?
We have a
Once
provisional days of 30 days. If they have one series of the immunizations, then they are allowed to come in on a probationary period, and we make sure that they have those immunizations as well. And then we work with those that are going to kinder, that turn 5. We make sure that the nurses call them, they send letters home, and they're advised that their 5-year-old shots are needed before or when they go to kinder, when they enroll to kinder.
And are there any other students that you're serving that do not qualify for Head Start but qualify for school, pre-K?
For pre-K, well, we have the pre-K 4. We do not have a pre-K 3, but we do service Head Start 3 and 4. And we also service our early childhood special education students under the special ed program as well.
So how many students do you have that they don't meet the criteria for Head Start, but meet the criteria?
That are for pre-K, I believe we have a total of 98 right now.
98.
Yes.
Okay.
No, thank you for all those questions, Mr. Mesa, because, I mean, they're very informative to us, or to me as a new member.
Well,
Thank you.
Yes, and we welcome any of the board members to come and visit.
It's a wonderful program.
It's an excellent program that we have at Irene C. Cardwell Head Start and pre-K.
If I may, I'd
Yes.
just like to commend on the HSAC program. I'm able to be a part of it through the police department with Mr. Milano and the group
Yes.
there. And it's an amazing job because you're able to bring different resources from, different doctors, our medical facilities that are all just get together and just want to, increase the benefit for the students that are there. So I was able to attend a meeting last month, and it was amazing just to see how everybody comes together
Yes.
and the people that, oversee it do an amazing job, just so that way
Yes, they
and
do.
so appreciate what they do with that.
Yes, thank you so much.
Any other questions? Then, sorry to drill you, but
Oh,
it's
no,
just
that's
good for
okay.
the-
I'm used to just doing this, but I love the questions because
No,
our
you were
program
great.
is amazing.
Just, again, for the benefit.
Yes,
Yeah.
I understand.
So, there's no other questions. I'll ask for the recommendation.
Okay.
So it is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the submittal of the attached application for the Head Start Continuous Funding Grant for the 2023-2024 fiscal year, along with the annual report to the public, our self-assessment, the community assessment, training and technical assistance plan, cost allocation plan, selection criteria, program guide, and school readiness plan to be submitted to the appropriate Head Start headquarters and presented and authorized by Mr. Raymond Mesa, San Felipe Del Rio, CISD Board President, to sign.
For the recommendation, is there a motion for approval? Motion made by Amy Haynes, seconded by Becky Chalice. All those in favor? Motion is approved. We go on to the next item, which is item 13B, consideration to approve the memorandum of understanding in accordance with section 60 or 642E5 of the Head Start Act. Head Start agencies grantees are required to enter into a MOU, memorandum of understanding, with appropriate local entities. Alana Talamantes,
Okay.
Dr. Alana Talamantes.
Next, moving on to our memorandums of understanding with our community agencies, include those for health providers, schools, daycare centers, and community agencies. They're listed there that we already have our memorandums of understanding. We are awaiting the approval and signature from our superintendent. If I may make the recommendation.
Any questions from board members? Again, for the privilege of new board members, you bring some of the representatives from these organizations so that the parents can learn about the services that are provided?
Yes, typically at Head Start and Cardwell, we have over like 30 trainings a month, and these are many that come and help us and provide trainings not just to our parents, but our families and our educators on campus. Every month, we do have a policy council meeting, and then our policy council president does present once a month to our families at a monthly meeting on campus.
Great. So these are
And we
organizations
always
that assist
invite,
your program?
yes. And many of the presenters that we have are on our MOUs, but there are several that we reach out to the community.
Do we still have organizations like the Lions Club that does
Yes,
screenings?
the Lions Club, yes, has helped us very much. The San Felipe Del Rio Lions Club has helped us tremendously with services for our children who need jackets. Our father-daughter dance, they contributed or donated us to use their hall free of charge. One of the members also took pictures of all the parents, and he came on campus and actually printed them for our parents. So we do have organizations that contribute so much to Irene C. Cardwell.
Great, great. And hearing and vision screens?
We provide those, the hearing and vision on campus. If they need further assessment, we do reach out to the Lions Club, or we also reach out if somebody needs a dental screening. We conference with Amigo Dentistry as well. But they do, if they need further assessments, we contact the Lions, but they generally provide eyeglasses for us if we need it.
Okay, well, thank you to all the different organizations, the Lions included, and everyone else that assists your program.
Yes.
Anyone else with a question? No. Recommendation, please.
Recommendation? It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the memorandums of understanding and authorize the superintendent to sign the memorandums of understanding as presented.
For the recommendation, I entertain a motion for approval. Motion made by Mr. Galindo, seconded by Becky Chavez. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Item 13C, consideration to approve submittal of the Head Start cost of living allocation grant application in the amount of $143,940 and quality improvement grant application in the amount of $97,925 with non-federal share of 0% of $0 for a total of $241,865 to Region 6 Head Start Office.
Yes.
Dr. Alana Talamantes.
Yes, for the supplemental grants for the cost of living adjustment, our COLA grant is $143,940. Quality improvement, $97,925. The total funding is $241,865.
Questions? Okay, what is the cost of living allocation? You want to tell us?
It's 5.7. It's a cost of living adjustment that we meet, and President Biden raised it to 5.7 based on inflation, how we proceed with our living at home, the cost of living.
And these monies will be utilized for salaries?
For salaries, and we're at 4% with the district. The remainder of those salaries from the 5.7 we use for our TTA plans. We transfer them over, and it'll help with our professional developments and speakers that we bring in, so that money's utilized there as well.
Dr. Rios, are we still funding partial salaries for employees?
Yes, sir.
Do you know approximately how many?
No, sir. Some are funded at 100%.
It's 35%, and generally it's all of the employees. We do have one that's funded just by the district, which is the position of Mrs. Patricia Dixon. The rest are 65% Head Start funded and 35% by the district. Our special ed unit is funded by the district as well, and their personnel too.
And your salary?
Monday
And your salary?
is funded by Head Start and the district. Can I have a raise? I'm teasing.
Okay, well.
I love what I
just
do.
Again,
Your fellow principals agree.
And my colleagues, yes, they deserve it. They're awesome. Kudos to them.
again, for the benefit of our new board members, because we have the continuance, and then we have the MOU for the different organizations that assist your program, and then we have the cost of living allocation, which most of it goes to salaries.
Yes, the
Because of
majority.
whatever the district, whatever his board members decide is going to be the race, that's where it comes from.
And we do have a program governance training at the beginning of the year, and we do invite the board members. Generally, it's Mrs. Webb or Ms. Gonzalez who are able to attend, but definitely I'll invite the brand-new board members so that they'll be familiar with their role with our Head Start program.
And just to advise the board members, it's important that we attend that training, the initial training at the beginning of the year, so you can understand the guidelines. And when they do come and do an audit, they usually want representatives from the board to be there to answer questions.
Yes, sir.
Okay. No other questions? You want to read the recommendation?
It is a recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the submittal of the attached application for the Head Start COLA and Quality Improvement Grant for the 2023-2024 fiscal year to be submitted to the appropriate Head Start headquarters as presented and authorized by Mr. Raymond Mesa, San Felipe Del Rio, CISD Board President, to sign.
For the recommendation, I'll entertain a motion for approval. Motion made by Mr. Orfeld, seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I would still like to thank the following individuals and their departments for working closely with us during the audit. Mrs. Aide Garcia and her department, Amy Childress, Miguel Salinas, Manuel Salinas, Mr. Carrera and Mr. Chapos, members of the board that were present for the audit, Mrs. Gonzalez, Mrs. Webb, and Dr. Rios, the superintendent of schools. And I would also like to thank the board for their continuous support with the Head Start program and assisting us with our transportation, technology, facilities, maintenance assistance, and much more. Thank you to the Cardwell staff, Patty Dixon and Mr. Olivo, for their commitment and dedication to Cardwell and to our families and our children. So I conclude with kiss your brain and throw sparkle on it, because you are amazing. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you
and your
so much.
support and dedication.
Thank you. Okay, we're down to item D on 13, consideration to approve modification of the 2022-2023 general fund balance commitments. Amy Childers.
Good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. Earlier this evening, you voted to approve agendas, memorandum, and agreements with the city and the county for two projects. The first project is the Cody Wardlaw Gym renovation, and the second is the Del Rio Middle School parking lot and park. And at this time, we would like to go ahead and commit funds from our 22-23 fund balance to start planning and working on these projects. The Cody Wardlaw Gym renovation, we would like to commit $1,429,745. And for the Del Rio Middle School parking lot and park, we would like to commit $1,200,000.
Any questions? That's on page 116 on your booklet. No further questions, recommendation, please?
Yes, sir. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the modification of the 2022-2023 general fund balance commitments as discussed.
For the recommendations, I'll entertain a motion for approval. Motion made by Mr. Galindo, seconded by Mr. Overfeld. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. We go on to item 14, Human Resources, consideration to approve the updated 2022-2023, 2023, I can't say three, district compensation plan. Aide Garcia.
Yes, good evening, President Mesa, Dr. Rios, members of the board. Tonight, we're bringing for your consideration two changes to the compensation pay plan. The first change is noted on page 120 of your board book. And this is where we are moving the school safety specialist from pay grade 7 to pay grade 8. And we're also changing the title from school safety specialist to school safety technician. This will be aligned with the recommendation from TASB. The other change is on page 125 of your board book. We are including a school language pathologist proctor to assist in proctoring a student that is working through TWC, Texas Women University, and a grant with the region. So we need someone to proctor that student, and it's only going to be once a week. Those are the only two changes for the compensation pay plan. Is there any questions?
Questions from board members? I have one, Ida. Right there. Right there. I asked Dr. Rios this, but we have not, this is for a master's, right?
Yes, sir.
In the past, we've had proctors, but not for masters. Because I haven't seen this before.
It's been a very long time. Back when Dr. Aguirre was here, there was a group of teachers that had their language pathologist assistant, and they were getting proctored to get their speech language pathologist license.
So were they pursuing a master's degree as well?
Yes, yes, okay. Back then. And so now this teacher took advantage of that, and now she's a school language pathologist assistant going for the license.
Okay. Anyone else? Not the recommendation?
Yes, sir. It is a recommendation of administration that the Board of Trustees approve the updated 2022-2023 district compensation plan as presented.
For the recommendation, is there a motion for approval? Motion made by Mr. Orfeld, seconded by Mr. Galindo. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item we have is 14B, consideration or discussion and possible action to approve employee job descriptions and evaluation forms. Aide Garcia.
Yes, sir. We have several job descriptions that we're bringing for your approval. The first three are the P-TECH middle school teacher, K-6 STEM teacher, and dual language teacher. These are new job descriptions for our new innovative programs that will start next year. Did you have questions on those three?
Board members? No questions.
The next one is our school safety technician. This is the one that I just mentioned previously, where we changed the title. Everything else remained the same. Any question on that job description?
I have one for Dr. Rios. Dr. Rios, will this be changing as far as if we add more technology to add to the job description? I know there will be monitoring cameras and so forth, and also assisting with the maintenance and so forth.
Yeah, there's just a lot of duties that that person's already performing. They all have to do with technology, and it's not necessarily viewing cameras, but it is make sure that they're all working, working with the chief on upgrades and additions to cameras, the BAD system, the Raptor system. There's just a whole lot of technology that goes into the safety aspect.
So the monies that we receive from, I know that there'll be an increase from the security student allotment for security. So will you be purchasing any additional software or programs?
Yes, sir.
So they will be added to the list of things?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Okay. The next job descriptions, the only change that we're bringing forward tonight is to change the supervisor that these people report to. This was due to the change in the superintendent's cabinet. So from Chief Operation Officer, that position was converted to Chief Innovations Officer, and then the Chief Instructional Officer was converted to Chief Academic Officer. So now we're only changing the title of who they report to. And these are for the following: the Chief Academic Officer Secretary, the CTE Director, the Early Literacy Curriculum Coordinator, the Instructional Technology Curriculum Coordinator, the System-Wide Testing Curriculum Coordinator, the Curriculum Secretary, the Bilingual ESL Educational Program Director, the Federal and State Program Director, the Fine Arts Director, Special Education Director, ESSER Grant Manager, Staff Development and Advanced Academics Coordinator, Chief Innovative Officer Secretary, Operations Coordinator, Custodial Coordinator, Maintenance Coordinator, Groundskeeper, Grounds Foreman, HVAC Mechanic 1 and HVAC Mechanic 2, Journeyman Plumber, and yeah, that's it. Any questions on those?
Board members? Hearing no questions. Recommendation, please.
Yes, sir. It is the recommendation of administration that the Board of Trustees approve the employee job description and evaluation form as discussed.
For the recommendation, I'll entertain a motion for approval. Motion made by Mr. Galindo, seconded by Amy Haynes. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the time is 8:35 p.m. We're now going to go into closed session pursuant to 551.074 and 551.71 of the Texas Education Code. If any action is going to be needed, it will be taken upon reconvening into open session. Again, we're now in closed session. Okay, the time is 9:59 p.m. We're reconvening to open session. No action was taken in executive session. We're down to item 18 on our agenda. First item is consideration to approve the personnel report to include the following: new hires, district vacancies, retirements, and resignations.
Good evening again. It is the recommendation of administration that the Board of Trustees approve the resignations, vacancies, and following new personnel. Adriana Acosta, special education teacher for Roberto Bobby Barrera Elementary. Jan Perry, science teacher for Del Rio Middle School.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation from administration. Is there a motion for approval? Motion made by Mr. Overfeld, seconded by Mr. Galindo. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Item 18B, consideration to approve the salary adjustments.
Yes, sir. It is a recommendation of administration that the Board of Trustees approve the salary adjustments as discussed in closed session.
Heard the recommendation. Is there a motion for approval? Motion made by Becky Chavez and seconded by Ms. Orfeld. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Item 18C, possible action regarding purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. Dr. Rios.
Mr. Mesa, members of the board, it is the recommendation of the administration that the board authorize the superintendent to pursue action discussed in closed session regarding the purchase of real property.
Heard the recommendation. Is there a motion? Motion made by Mr. Galindo, seconded by Amy Haynes. Amy Haynes, all those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. There being no other items on the agenda, is there a motion for adjournment? Motion made by Mr. Orfeld, seconded by Amy Haynes. All those in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you and good night, everyone.